Yes. Right. Rusi?
Well, this piece of video, we'll bring in David Ellis to talk us about this, talk us through this. But if we get back to the whole European Union, the whole project, where did it come from? We are now starting to get down into the detail of what created this beast political system. And what better place to start than this lady telling us about what she encountered in documents from 1948.
We withhold from you is a quotation that comes from a cabinet document of the 4th of January 1948. 4th of January 1948, in which the British Foreign Secretary Labour Minister Clement Attlee told his cabinet that he thought there should be a defence treaty and a European Affairs Committee should be created. And the task of this European Affairs Committee should be to coordinate the working out of political practical measures for giving effect to the general policy of promoting political and economic integration of Western Europe under 4 heads: political, defence and security, publicity and propaganda, and economic. This is the earliest document that I can find that actually proposes European cooperation and integration. Clement Attlee, British Prime Minister. I haven't found an...
Right, so this is remarkable stuff. We've got Rusi, who we think is better called UC because it is so pro the European Union project. They are getting very excited and they're boasting that they found these critical documents from 1948 where this deception was being put together. I've taken that lady's talk and I've just summarised the key bits that she talked through. So it was a defence treaty and a European Affairs Committee to coordinate the working out of political practical measures for giving effect for general policy of promoting political and economic integration of Western Europe under 4 heads: political, defence and security, publicity and propaganda. We'll come back to that. Economic. This is the model. This has come out of deep state in Britain. David Ellis, you were the first one to pick up on this. This is really an incredible piece of video.
It is, because it lays out exactly the insertion point into our government of who, how, why, where and when all of this started. So it's the very core of the issue that we're trying to deal with. And it tells you in no uncertain terms what the tasks were, what was set up, what was designated, the committees, and all under the strapline of integrate. So you can see there that the engine room of our government was tasked to integrate and do this work. So the offices and the appointments on that basis since 1948. So the questions we've got to ask now are, what exactly on from this point? What was it the Churchill government was talking about when it was saying, well, we should be in this, but we shouldn't be in this. You know, we should talk to them, but not be in it. What did they know? Why didn't they undo it if there was something there that was a problem that they were concerned about? Why has all this been asleep for how many decades? So these are the questions. So my stumbling block with this is we can actually see the insertion point that the EU come in and started busily beavering away in the engine room of our government and Whitehall. So on the democratic end, because we've got this variance with the EU is a non-elected dictatorship that's seeking to be armed with our stuff. So regardless of who you voted for, regardless of any party manifesto one way or the other, regardless of referenda, and whatever you thought you voted or whatever party you thought you were in or whatever you wanted or didn't want, this thing appears to be, from what this lady is saying, has been doing it since 1948.
Yeah,
and there's the crux of the matter. And you can see in there the fundamentals, the building blocks of how this thing would work. The media and propaganda was a key. Defence and security was a key. So now we know why Dave Barmby has got what he's got in 72, because it was our own government that were creating the propaganda, which is exactly what we're seeing now.
David Scott.
Isn't that fascinating? I mean, this is the four horsemen of the European apocalypse. This is political defense, economic, and propaganda. Right? That made the top line, propaganda. Where's the propaganda coming from? Well, it's the BBC, it's the state broadcasters all across the country. It's European organizations who are now set up to counter Russian fake news. There is quite clearly a propaganda effort. And 1948, there's so many things tracked back to that. We were transformed into a socialist country then, almost overnight in 1948. And of course, it's still praised to the heavens. And at that point, there was no way back. So the changes were made. And I remember seeing many years ago, I need to try and track this down, a piece about the Churchill government that came in after the Attlee government in 1951. And when it was clear that that was on the way, there was some pressure applied to the incoming Conservatives that you won't reverse the basic changes that have been made. And if you don't agree to that, then, and there was some sort of threat that would be revolution, right? And the Conservatives yielded to this and left every major change in place and just moderated it a little bit and got the economy out of the, well, they managed to end rationing and things like this and get the economy out of the mess it was in. So, and this has been the pattern ever since, a ratchet effect. So we go more and more to this, to a socialist state, and then the Conservatives come in and stabilize things, and then the next move is made, and on it goes. But nothing's ever reversed. No changes are made. Nothing fundamental is allowed to be altered. And that seems to have been a deal that was done right back with Winston Churchill.